The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark.
Glory to you, Lord.
Jesus came to the district of Judea and the far side of the Jordan, and again crowds gathered round him, and again he taught them, as his custom was. Some Pharisees approached him and asked, "Is it against the law for a man to divorce his wife?" They were testing him. He answered them, "What did Moses command you?" "Moses allowed us," they said, "to draw up a wreath of dismissal and so to divorce." Then Jesus said to them, "It was because you were so unteachable that he wrote these commandments for you. But from the beginning of creation, God made them male and female. This is why a man must leave father and mother, and the two become one body. They are no longer two, therefore, but one body. So then, what God has united, man must not divide." Back in the house, the disciples questioned him again about this, and he said to them, "The man who divorces his wife and marries another is guilty of adultery against her. And if a woman divorces her husband and marries another, she is guilty of adultery too." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
This is one of the readings we use always on a wedding to emphasize the church's stand on the sacrament of matrimony. But let us look at it outside the context of a wedding. And we say, you see the Pharisees approaching Jesus. They have kept as important the law of Moses. We remember what Mark is saying in his gospel. He talks about how they uphold human laws to the detriment of God's law. And we try to see the context in which Jesus was speaking with these people. Now he asked them, "What does Moses say?" The Pharisees, they regarded as important so much the law of Moses. We know that. But what is this law of Moses? Is it the law of God? The law of Moses, is it the law of God? There is the Torah, which was very important for the Israelites, but the book of Deuteronomy is actually what contains the law of Moses. And this was 40 years. The book of Deuteronomy came 40 years after the people had left Egypt. No, after the people had left Sinai, where God gave them the law from the mountain, the Decalogue. Through Moses, he gave them the Decalogue, the 10 Commandments. This is what you must do. This is from God. And of course, after a few years, after some time, the people went into the worship of idols when they made the golden calf. After they made the golden calf, Moses became angry and he broke the Decalogue. And then, of course, another one was made. But then, people, for the 40 years they were in the desert trying to get into the promised land, they kept on disobeying God because of their stubborn. They were stubborn. They were worshiping even other idols. They were always complaining. They were very stubborn. And just before they entered the promised land, Moses gave them what is called the second law, or the book of Deuteronomy. And this was like, this is what you must do, and this is what you must not do. That was all what the book of Deuteronomy was talking about. The blessings and the curses. It was like a kind of a moral handbook for the people of Israel. If they are to stay in right relationship with God, this is what they must do, and this is what they must avoid. So the book of Deuteronomy, or the law of Moses, is something completely different from what God had written. And that is why Jesus tells them, what does Moses say? And of course, they quoted Deuteronomy chapter 24, verse 1. And he said, Moses said, you can write a wreath and give it to your wife, and then you divorce her. And Jesus said, Moses told you that because of your stubbornness. That was not what was there from the beginning. It's only because of your stubbornness that this had to be like that. That is why Moses told you like that. And then he went on to say, from the beginning, this is what God had ordained. That a man must leave his wife, and both of them become one body. This is what was written. This is what is true. This is what you must keep to. And he says God made them male and female. Now we can now say this is what happens in that time. It happens with the Pharisees and Jesus, and in that context. But let us see how this is changing again today. Because at times we uphold the traditions of man to the detriment of God, of God's law, and what we regard as importance, insofar as it's pleasing to everybody, therefore it becomes law, and we try to downplay the law of God. Now today we say it's okay. It's okay for a man and a man to get married. A woman and a woman to get married is even legalized in other countries. Thank God it's not legalized in the Philippines. And we say it's okay. And then we try to confront the Pope on certain situations, and we try to force these things into him. And he gives his answer. I remember on 2 occasions now the Pope has been able to be confronted with the issue of homosexuality or homosexual marriages. And the Pope talks about the pastoral care of those who are going through, who have this orientation. The pastoral care. But now what people interpret is that the Pope has approved that a man can get married to a man and a woman can get married to a woman. What was there in the beginning? The church is very clear on this. What the church stands on is what Jesus talks about. This is what has been from the beginning, that God made them male and female. Male and female, not male and male. Male and female. And for this reason, a man must leave his parents and be attached to his wife. To his wife. A man and a woman, male and female, husband and wife. That is what the church stands on. If the Pope talks about the pastoral care of homosexuals, that is something totally different. Of course, it's the pastoral approach of how to reach out to these people and make them feel a part of the church. But not saying that the church has changed anything. The church has not changed anything. The church says male and female, husband and wife, man and woman. It's very clear. We can never change that. We can never alter that. Because that is what God made from the beginning. And therefore, we see this is the stand of the church. This is the stand of Jesus. This is what God had ordained from the beginning. But we, because our law now is more anthropocentric, is about man, and we try to exclude God from it. It's not about being God-centered, it's about being man-centered. What I mean is that human beings can come together and they say, this is right, we vote for it, we make a referendum, and then that wrong becomes a right. Just like abortion. People just come together and say there are reasons why abortion should be accepted, because this. Then people come out in the street and say, yes, we need abortion, we need the rights of people. There is a difference between what is right and what is your right. Okay? My right is this, but what is right? The right of women, the right of people, the right of children, the right of this. Those things can be there, but what is right? Not what is the right. What is right? What is right is what God has ordained from the beginning. And it is true, there are things that we can argue, we can bring arguments for things that we want to happen, but we must always ask ourselves, what is God saying about that situation? Just like the Pharisees come to Jesus and they said, this is what Moses said. They say, yeah, that was because of your stubbornness, but this is what it has been. This is what is there from the beginning, that God made them male and female. We talk about abortion there and there, what? What was there? God gave us life and said, from the beginning to the end, I am the one who gives life, and I'm the one who has the right to take it. We talk about homosexuality. They say, no, a man and a man can have emotions for each other, and insofar as they agree, it is their right to decide to come together and live as husband and wife. Yeah, that is their right. They choose that. But is that what is right? No. We must remember that everything that we do must be theocentric. It is about what is it that God says about a situation, not about what man says. Morality can never be conventional. It's not something we come together and we say, okay, let this wrong become right, and then all of us say, okay, because everybody has agreed on this, therefore let that wrong become right. No. Right would always be right, and wrong will always be wrong, no matter how many people are doing the wrong thing, how many people are doing the right thing. Remember Noah. In his time, he was the only righteous man, and God saved him. So we must always try to ask ourselves about this. What is it that God is saying about our situation? Not about what we think, or what we think is right, or what we think is our right. But what is it that God is saying about a situation? And that is what is right.